Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I was going to do a video on NAOYA INOUE, asking the question, which fighters have a chance of beating him? Because as we know, no fighter is unbeatable. Everyone can be beaten. It's just that some are more difficult to beat than others, and some are extremely difficult to beat. But no one's indestructible. And then I got this week's boxing news. And who should be on the front? And what should be inside? It would be an article on pretty much the same thing that I was going to do a video on. I waited until Inoue had made his latest defence, and then I was going to do the video. And then I read this, and I thought, oh. Then I thought, no, I'll go through it anyway. I thought, it's a good article. Boxing News, great magazine, as you know. And they have chosen 5 people, including featherweights, because the general belief is that eventually Inoue will go up to featherweight, which will probably be his ceiling in terms of weight. He's 31 now. Now, I made a video earlier today about Murdzhon Akhmadaliev and how Eddie Hearn is beating the drum for a mandatory defence and pretending to be very, very outraged, because that's what you have to do if you're, if you're someone's promoter. You go, well, it's disgraceful. And I did read that he made a few very stupid comments about how Inoue's resume isn't great and all that absolute bullshit. But then promoters, they talk a lot of crap, don't they? Just complete. There is no bias. They are in a sense propagandists, and in this case, Hearn is being a propagandist for Akhmadaliev. But Akhmadaliev, for reasons that I stated in my previous video, in my opinion, does deserve to fight Inoue. He's currently 13-1 with 10 KOs. His loss was 3 fights ago to Marlon Tapales, but he's looked pretty good. I mean, his last fight against Ricardo Espinosa, he bashed him out of there in 3 rounds. And Espinosa isn't what you would call a top echelon 122-pounder, but he's very, very good. You don't expect him to get blown away in 3 rounds, put it that way. So that's the first person that this article mentions. The second person is, I think, someone else I mentioned and all in a previous video, Junto Nakatani. Nakatani against Inoue is one of the fights I want to see in 2025. I love that fight. Now, Nakatani, probably Japan's second best fighter. He is 27 years old, so he's pretty much in his prime. Southpaw, 5'8", which is about 2.5 inches taller than Inoue. 29 wins with 22 KOs, no draws, no defeats, and he's beaten some very good men. Obviously, no one near as good as Inoue, because no one is really as good as Inoue. He had that incredible war with Anthony Maloney, where he scored that incredible last round knockout, highlight reel knockout. And Maloney, people were worried about Maloney. He also beat RG Cortez. That was a decision over 12. I was mildly surprised that went the distance. I don't know. Cortez is tough. He's beaten other people, Vincent Astrolabio. He got rid of him in 1, which was, I thought Astrolabio might last a few more rounds because he's not a bad fighter, but no, he went out in 1 round. And, at the moment, he's a bantamweight. Nakatani he's held WBO flyweight titles, superfly titles. So he is a 3-weight world champ, or 3-division world titleist, if you like. And yeah, I think that's a brilliant fight. It would also be, would it be Japan's biggest ever fight in terms of all Japanese fight in terms of money? Probably it would be. So we've talked about a super bantamweight. We've talked about a bantamweight. And now let's go up to featherweight, because you've got 3 guys there who, I agree with this article, with Boxing News article, would be good fights. Very, very curious fights for Inoue. One is Nick Ball, all 5'2" of him, or 3 of him, or however small he is. Short for the weight, I should say. But he is a wrecking ball, a real fireball. And then the other play on words you want to mention. 21-0-1 with 12 KOs. hits hard, doesn't quite have one punch knockout power, but he won't leave you alone. He will not leave you alone. And he can be clipped, he can be hit, but I haven't seen him badly hurt. Not badly hurt, even though he does get hit. Could he soak up Inoue's pressure early on and then drag him into those, you know, often mentioned deep waters? Quite possibly. But it would be very, very intriguing to see that. I think that'd be a very good matchup. Then you've got Rafael Espinosa, who, and this is a guy who's a 126 pounder and he's 6'1". Enough said. All right. Long levers. He was flawed in his first fight with Robisi Ramirez and then repaid the compliment later on. And had a rematch with Ramirez, and I think Ramirez quit, didn't he? It was a strange ending back into last year. I think he'd been elbowed in the eye or something like that. That's what he said anyway. He's suffering double vision and he just quit, turned away. Espinosa's 26 wins, no defeats, and 22 KOs. But it would be really fascinating to see Espinosa, 6'1" of him, all those long levers tied together in the middle against NAOYA INOUE, who would, and this would be, I think, by far his tallest opponent, surely, for INOUE. Bearing in mind INOUE started off at light flyweight. So yeah, that'll be a good matchup. And then there's kind of someone who gets overlooked, and this is a better fighter than people are giving him credit for, as he proved in his last fight when he knocked out Luis Alberto Lopez. That was last August. That was that's right. That was what was that? Was that a top rank card? I can't remember. Anyway, Angelo Leo, 25 wins, 1 defeat, 12 KOs. And the fact that he doesn't have that many knockouts, his knockout percentage isn't that big, made knocking out Luis Alberto Lopez with 1 punch, and he knocked him flat, made it all the more startling. But this is a guy, I think I remember seeing him on Pro Box, and he lost to Stephen. I don't know whether this was the fight I saw on Pro Box, but he was kind of out in the wilderness for a little while because he lost to Stephen Fulton, and then he took about 2.5 years out of the ring and came back and kind of worked his way back up, got the shot against Lopez, and the rest is history. And he looks better than ever. And of course, he's a very, very tough man. He's the IBF featherweight champ, by the way. WBO champ is Espinosa, and what's Paul got? He's got one of them, hasn't he? WBA, is it? I think it's a WBA title. But Angelo Leo looks good. He looks like he looks physically strong, just like Ball. And I think you're going to have that physicality in order to deal with Inoue's skill and poise, balance and sharpness. And it will be interesting to see if Inoue can take that extra weight, can take the power up to the extra weight. But I wouldn't rule Angelo Leo out as a very competitive fight for NAOYA INOUE. And I've always thought that Inoue will, the only way he'll lose, the only chance there is of him losing badly, that is to say, be losing to someone who does not quite have his natural talent, is if he goes up too many divisions. Because, again, we get back to the cliche, there are weight divisions for a reason. So I think these are good fights. These are the choices by Boxing News in this article. And if I hadn't read the article and I was doing my own picks, I'd probably pick those as well. Those are certainly 5 of the guys I would have picked. But anyway, what do you think about Inoue? What do you think about this division jumping? Because Akhmadaliev, once he beats Akhmadaliev, he'll have cleaned out the division. If he beats him, of course. If he beats him. And then I think it will be time to go to featherweight if he wants to. He might think, I'm not interested in featherweight. I've done all these different divisions. I don't need to jump up again. He might retire. He might think, I've completed boxing, I'll retire. But if he does jump to featherweight, who do you think are the threats and why? Why do you think, Boxer A or Boxer B would stand a good chance of beating Inoue? Let me know. Comments below, of course, as per usual. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button. I always appreciate your time. I always say it. I hope you've had a great weekend. And yeah, looking forward to what you've got to say. Ladies and gentlemen, bye for now.